Welcome to Classic Soap Operas. Today we're digging into the story of a show that's, well, it's pretty much forgotten, but wow, does it have a dramatic history of its own, both on and off the screen. Get ready for the tragic tale of Somerset.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with how it began as this big, ambitious spin-off, then get into its major identity crisis. After that, we'll talk about the dreaded 4 o'clock curse that haunted it, some very surprising stars that got their start there, and then, of course, how it all came to a dramatic end.
Okay, let's set the stage. The date is March 30th, 1970. NBC is just crushing it in daytime TV, and they've got this mega hit, Another World. So what do you do when you have a hit? You make a spinoff. They were thinking big, like creating this whole interconnected soap universe.
Okay, so check this out, because this was actually a pretty brilliant marketing move at first. Instead of just launching a new show, NBC renamed both of them. You had Another World in Bay City, that's the original, and Another World in Somerset, the new one. The whole idea was to make it feel like one big story, so that massive audience from the parent show would just, stick around for the next hour.
And to make absolutely sure people would watch, they didn't start with new characters. Nope. They took 3 fan favorites from the original show and literally moved them to the new town of Somerset. They brought all their drama, all their history, and most importantly, their loyal fans with them. I mean, on paper, this thing was a slam dunk. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it turns out a lot could go wrong. Even with that perfect setup and that built-in audience, the show pretty much immediately hit a wall. It started having a total identity crisis. It just didn't know what it wanted to be.
And this is where the trouble really starts. In less than a year, that whole connection to its parent show, gone. The crossover characters packed their bags and left. The title got chopped down to just Somerset. All of a sudden, the show is basically cut loose, an orphan that had to figure out how to survive all on its own.
So what did it do? Well, this quote right here just nails it. The show did a complete 180. It ditched the traditional love stories and family drama that made Another World a hit, and it went dark. We're talking mafia storylines, crime, grit, a total departure. It started to feel a lot more like its competitor, The Edge of Night.
And you can see that change happen right here. It starts off in 1970 with a traditional soap format. But then, boom, 1971. A mystery writer, Henry Slezar, takes over as the head writer. That one move completely changed the show's DNA. And from that point on, it was this constant tug-of-war, with writers trying to figure out how to blend these intense crime stories with the romance and drama that soap fans expected.
Okay, so the show's already having an internal meltdown about what it is, but as if that wasn't bad enough, it was also in a fight for its life against something it couldn't control at all, its deadly time slot.
Yeah, the 4 p.m. time slot was known as a graveyard for shows, and for good reason. See, local TV stations all over the country would just cut away from the network programming at 4 o'clock to run their own stuff. Local news, old movies, you name it. The result? In a whole bunch of cities, Somerset just wasn't on. How are you supposed to build a loyal audience when people can't even find your show?
But here's the crazy part. For a minute there, it looked like it was actually working. In its first year, it went up against the cultural phenomenon Dark Shadows, and it won. It actually helped push Dark Shadows' ratings down and eventually off the air. For a hot second, it really seemed like maybe, just maybe, Somerset could beat the 4 o'clock curse.
Yeah, that didn't last long. As soon as Dark Shadows was gone, the other networks smelled blood in the water. They flooded that 4 p.m. slot with these super popular, high-energy game shows. Suddenly, Somerset wasn't just competing with other soaps, it was up against behemoths like Tattletales and the $10,000 Pyramid. The whole game had changed.
And then came the final nail in the coffin. In 1975, ABC moved its own crime-focused soap, The Edge of Night, to air directly against Somerset. Think about that. The very show that Somerset was trying to be like was now its direct competition. And Edge of Night did crime better. It had been doing it for years, and it had a huge, loyal fan base. Somerset was completely trapped.
So the show is basically on life support at this point. But, and this is one of the coolest parts of this whole story, while it was failing in the ratings, it was succeeding in a way nobody could have predicted. It was secretly becoming a star-making factory.
So after all that, you'd think Somerset would just be a footnote, right? A forgotten show that disappeared without a trace. But no way. Some of the people who walked the streets of this fictional town, well, you are definitely going to recognize them.
I mean, just look at this list. It's unreal.
Ted Danson was on this show before anyone had ever heard of Cheers. Sigourney Weaver was here long before she was Ripley in Alien. The show gave early career breaks to an incredible roster of talent who would go on to define movies and television for decades to come. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
But of course, launching future stars doesn't pay the bills, and by 1976, the writing was on the wall. The terrible ratings, the show not being aired in major cities, the confused identity, it was just too much. It was the end of the line.
In the fall of '76, NBC made it official. After 6.5 years on the air, and get this, over 1,700 episodes, Somerset was canceled. For all its struggles, it actually lasted a pretty long time, but its fight was finally over.
The show went out with a whimper, not a bang. Its very last episode aired on December 31st, 1976, New Year's Eve. And what replaced it? Oh, just the most chaotic, bizarre, and frankly insane game show of all time, The Gong Show. You really can't get more different than that.
And this was the final farewell. Just a simple, classy message from the announcer Bill Wolfe. He thanked the loyal viewers, wished everyone a happy new year, and that was it. The story of Somerset was officially over.
So there you have it, the tragic but really fascinating tale of Somerset. It had this can't-miss premise, but it got tripped up by an identity crisis and a truly cursed time slot. And yet, it still managed to leave behind this amazing legacy of Hollywood stars. So, what do you think we should cover next? What other classic TV show has a story that needs to be told? Drop your ideas in the comments below. We read all of them. And of course, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.